So Bronnie, you told me you've been feeling really stuck in your depression, and I wanted to put our heads together today to get a bit of a clearer picture of what's keeping you stuck in that depression and what's keeping it going, as well as to come up with some ideas about how we could start to get unstuck. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Cool. As we talk, I'm just going to write things down so we can get a bit of a picture together. So let's start at the point where your mood's been depressed. And I know from what we were talking about last week that there was actually lots of things happening in life that kind of contributed to the depression first starting. But I want to spend our time today thinking about what's going on in the here and now that's keeping the depression going. So Bronnie, I wondered, since your mood's been depressed, what have you been finding has been happening to your energy levels?
My energy levels have been so low. It's really hard sort of to do anything.
Gosh, so your energy's been really affected. And it's been really low. How about your motivation levels? What have they been like since you've been depressed?
I've definitely noticed that I'm not motivated to do things. It's just really hard to get myself going, and yeah, all I want to do is stay at home.
Gosh, that motivation has been really sapped. What about your kind of general interest level in things happening around you? What's that been like since you've been depressed?
Yeah, that's definitely changed as well. Some of the things I'm usually interested in, I'm just not really interested in doing at the moment.
Gosh. So across the board, across your energy, your motivation and your interest levels in things, they've all been kind of reduced. They've all taken a hit since you've been depressed, is that right?
Definitely.
Yeah, these are all really normal symptoms of depression. Now I wondered, Bronnie, since you've been experiencing these symptoms of not much energy, not much motivation, not much interest in things, has there been any change in how you spend your time during the day?
Definitely since I've been depressed, it's really hard to get out of bed in the morning, so I spend a lot more time sleeping or trying to sleep.
Yeah, so lots of time in bed, trying to sleep. And then what happens with the rest of your day?
Well, I guess sometimes I might call in sick to work, sort of things like that, because I don't feel like I'll be able to do a good job at work when I'm feeling so low.
Yeah. So I'm going to start writing these things down so it sounds like you're having more time in bed. Calling in sick to work. What else has been happening?
I guess when I am at home, it's just spending a lot of time on my own and not seeing my friends as much as I used to.
So not seeing friends as much. And what about things around the house, like chores and opening the mail? How's that been going?
Well, I really try and make sure that I at least have a shower in the day, but other chores that need to be done, I just often find that they are not getting done. There's lots of dishes and stuff that I haven't cleaned up around the house.
That makes sense when you've been feeling this way, that you have kind of less energy to do those things. Are there other things that you used to do that you're not doing much of at the moment?
Yeah, I guess some of my hobbies or interests that I was going to an art class, but I've stopped doing that. And my poor dog, I used to walk the dog every day, but I just don't have the energy to do that at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like across the board you've been kind of doing less, and that's kind of gone across lots of areas of your life, like the fun stuff like seeing friends and going to art class, but also the kind of responsibilities like work and keeping the household chores. There's been a bit less of all of that.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense given how you're feeling. That's a really normal reaction to not having much energy, not having much motivation and being so drained. It makes total sense to pull back and do less of this stuff. when we experience other kinds of illnesses like a cold or a flu and we feel really drained and tired, pulling back and resting up a bit can actually be helpful. But what we tend to find with depression is that it doesn't really help. Like we can spend a lot of time pulling back and doing less, but it's not really helping the depression. Is that what you've been finding, Bron?
Yeah, I guess, it's been going for a while now, hasn't it? And the depression's, it's not getting better really. If anything, it's getting quite a lot worse.
Right, so it's kind of getting worse over time. So let's have a think about what's going on here that's kind of contributing to the depression staying around and even getting a bit worse. When you have spent the day at home by yourself and you haven't been able to do much, how do you feel about that?
It's just like I'm not achieving anything with my day. I kind of, I know I should be going to work, and I kind of feel bad that I'm not seeing my friends or sort of, saying no to their invitations.
Yeah, gosh, that sounds like you start to beat yourself up for the way you're spending your time, like really criticising yourself, feeling like you're not achieving things and putting pressure on what you should be doing. So kind of criticising yourself a lot. You said you feel bad when you don't see your friends. Tell me more about that. How does that feel?
I guess I feel lonely for one, and I sort of feel guilty that I'm always letting people down.
Yeah, so feeling quite guilty. When you have been pulling back on things like work or on chores, they don't go away, right, just because we're not doing them. What tends to happen?
Yeah, it's really piling up, and I actually feel now that I don't know how I'm going to get back on top of that stuff. It feels too big.
Yeah, so it becomes really overwhelming. And when you haven't been doing these things for a while, how confident are you feeling about your ability to get back to doing them?
I'm really starting to question, whether I can do some of the things that I was doing before, especially with work. I'm just feeling like maybe I won't be able to do a good job of that again. So I guess my confidence is a bit shaky.
Yeah, so really losing confidence in your ability to do the things you used to be doing. And as time goes by and you're spending a lot of time alone and things are piling up and feeling overwhelming, how does the future seem to you?
It's like I'm not going to get out of this. It's just going to get worse, or I just can't see an end to this.
So the future seems really bleak, kind of hopeless?
Yeah.
Gosh. So as much as it kind of makes sense that you're doing less, it's a totally natural reaction to the symptoms. It sounds like doing less backfires in all these ways. Like you end up feeling really guilty, really lonely, criticising yourself. Things are really piling up. What impact does that have on your mood?
Well, I've never really thought about it in the way you've drawn it up, but it's kind of making things worse for me. I'm just feeling worse and worse about myself, and the depression's getting worse.
So it ends up kind of feeding back into feeling even more depressed. So it creates what we call a kind of vicious cycle of depression, where once the depression starts, the kind of symptoms of depression drive us to do less, but then that actually fuels kind of more depression. How does that fit with your experience, Bronnie?
I mean, it really makes sense, and I hadn't thought about it in that way. I'm a bit worried about how I can get out of that.
Yeah, what's your reaction to kind of seeing it drawn up like that?
It just feels like it's going to keep going and going.
Yeah, can totally understand. It feels a bit disheartening to see that vicious cycle, because it feels like everything's kind of working together to keep the problem going. But the good news, Bronnie, is the fact that all these things are connected, we can actually start to use that to our advantage, because if we can start to make a change in one area, we'd expect that can have flow-on effects to other areas as well. So let's have a think about how we can start to break into this vicious cycle and how we can start to get out of it.